To understand Russia, you must look beyond the headlines and stereotypes and begin with its most defining feature, its sheer, almost unimaginable size. You must first grasp just how vast this country truly is, stretching across continents and climates. Spanning an incredible 11 time zones, Russia extends from the icy shores of the Baltic Sea in the west all the way to the Pacific Ocean in the east, making it the largest country on Earth by far. Its vastness is breathtaking, encompassing endless forests, mountains, rivers, and plains. This immense territory grants Russia a wealth of natural resources: oil, gas, timber, and minerals, fueling its economy and global influence. This scale is both a source of power and a foundation of national pride, shaping the Russian identity and its sense of destiny. Russia's geography has deeply influenced its culture, art, and the legendary resilience of its people, who have learned to adapt to both beauty and hardship. Its size has served as a formidable defensive weapon. Napoleon's Grand Army and Hitler's forces both fell victim to Russia's endless plains and brutal, unforgiving winters. But this vastness is a double-edged sword, offering both protection and peril. Governing and connecting such a massive, often inhospitable land is a logistical nightmare, with distances so great that entire regions can feel isolated from the center. Maintaining infrastructure across this expanse drains resources, strains communication, and challenges any leader who seeks to unify the nation. The image of Russia as an impregnable, self-sufficient giant is, in many ways, a myth, one that masks the country's internal struggles. The very geography that projects strength to the outside world also hides a deep vulnerability, as vast distances and harsh climates make development and defense difficult. This flaw has shaped Russian history and foreign policy for centuries, fueling a constant search for security and stability. To truly understand Russia's motivations, we must look past the illusion of size and see the challenges that come with it. At its heart lies a geographic weakness, a lack of natural barriers that has made Russia perpetually insecure and wary of threats from all directions. This deep-seated insecurity continues to drive Russia's actions on the world stage, shaping its policies and ambitions to this day. Russia's greatest vulnerability lies on its western doorstep, the vast North European plain, a stretch of land that has shaped the nation's fate for centuries. Unlike the towering Alps or the rugged Carpathians, this immense flat expanse offers no mountains, no forests, and no rivers strong enough to serve as a natural barrier. For centuries, invaders have used this plain as a highway into Russia, marching armies and rolling tanks with little to slow them down. The Mongols thundered across it, the Poles and Swedes advanced through it, and both Napoleon's French and Hitler's Germans exploited its openness, leaving deep scars on the Russian psyche and collective memory. This relentless history has taught Russian leaders a harsh lesson. True security, they believe, demands control over the vulnerable western flatlands. Strategic depth is everything for Russia: space to retreat, regroup, and let the harsh land and brutal climate wear down any enemy foolish enough to invade. To achieve this, Russia has always sought to push its borders westward, creating a buffer zone of territory between Moscow and potential threats. Countries like Poland, the Baltic states, Belarus, and Ukraine are not just neighbors. They are the living buffer that stands between Russia and the rest of Europe. When these states align with Moscow, Russia feels secure, its leaders able to sleep a little easier at night. But when they turn to the West, especially NATO, it's seen as an existential threat, one that reopens old wounds and stirs deep anxieties. The open plain becomes a gaping wound in Russia's defenses, a reminder of how quickly danger can approach. This geographic imperative explains centuries of Russian expansion and intervention, from Tsars to Soviets to modern times. The further west the border, the safer Moscow feels. Each kilometer gained is a layer of protection for the Russian heartland. Geography, not just ambition or ideology, drives Russia's actions and shapes its worldview. The North European plain remains Russia's Achilles heel, a vast open invitation to both opportunity and danger. Its vulnerability shapes every strategic decision, every alliance, and every move on the global chessboard that Russia makes. To the north, Russia once relied on the Arctic Ocean as a frozen shield, a natural barrier that seemed impenetrable for generations. For centuries, the thick, unyielding ice made the northern coastline secure and strategically irrelevant, deterring explorers, invaders, and even trade. But now, climate change is rapidly melting the Arctic, transforming the landscape and opening up new shipping lanes and economic opportunities that were once unimaginable. The Northern Sea Route, once blocked by ice, now connects Europe and Asia, turning Russia's quiet, isolated north into a bustling global trade highway. This shift brings both immense opportunity and significant vulnerability, as increased activity means more to protect and more at stake. A navigable Arctic means Russia must now defend thousands of miles of new exposed coastline, a task that was never necessary before. Massive investments in ports, air bases, and powerful icebreakers are urgently needed to secure this vast and changing frontier, requiring both money and manpower. The Arctic is quickly becoming a new arena for geopolitical competition as nations race to stake their claims and secure their interests. The US, Canada, Norway, and even China are eyeing the region's untapped resources and lucrative trade routes, increasing tensions and competition. Oil, gas, and rare earth minerals are now within reach as the ice recedes, promising wealth but also inviting rivalry and environmental risk. The illusion of a frozen fortress is gone, replaced by a vulnerable and exposed northern border. Russia's northern flank is now a new front line, demanding constant vigilance, advanced technology, and a permanent security presence. The Arctic's transformation is stretching Russia's resources and security apparatus to the limit, testing the nation's ability to adapt to a rapidly changing environment. Geography's gift has become another challenge, as the once protective ice now demands new strategies and constant adaptation. Russia's obsession is its lack of warm water ports. A great power needs year-round access to the world's oceans, but Russia's ports are often frozen or easily blockaded. Murmansk is ice-free but isolated. Vladivostok is distant and vulnerable. The Baltic and Black Seas are controlled by NATO members at their entrances. This quest for secure warm water ports has shaped Russian foreign policy for centuries. St. Petersburg, Crimea, and the Black Sea Fleet are all products of this obsession. The annexation of Crimea in 2014 was about reclaiming Sevastopol, the best naval base in the region. Control of Sevastopol ensures Russian naval power in the Black Sea and access to the Mediterranean. Without warm water ports, Russia is trapped on land. With them, it can project power globally. This struggle is far from over. Geography keeps Russia locked in a perpetual quest for maritime access. The search for ports is a story that defines Russian strategy. Geography gives Russia challenging neighbors and constant anxiety. To the west, NATO's expansion feels like a direct threat, erasing Russia's buffer zone. Each new NATO member on its border is seen as a dagger pointed at Moscow. To the south, the volatile Caucasus is both a barrier and a source of instability. Russia intervenes to maintain influence and prevent chaos from spilling over. To the east, Russia's vast, sparsely populated Far East borders a powerful, resource-hungry China. While relations are friendly now, the imbalance is growing. Surrounded on all sides, Russia's leaders see threats everywhere. This siege mentality shapes every policy and military move. The goal: push threats away and maintain buffers at all costs. Russia's history is a story of expansion driven by geography. Ivan the Terrible expanded east and west, seeking defensible borders and strategic rivers. Peter the Great built St. Petersburg for Baltic access. Catherine seized Crimea for the Black Sea. Each expansion aimed to create a buffer zone around Moscow. The Soviet Union followed the same logic, imposing communist regimes across Eastern Europe after World War II. The Iron Curtain was a massive buffer on the North European plain. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 was a geographic catastrophe for Russia. It lost its entire western buffer as former allies joined NATO. The border snapped back, leaving Russia exposed and insecure. This loss is seen in Moscow as the greatest geopolitical disaster of the 20th century. Russia returned to the same vulnerabilities it faced centuries earlier. Geography's imperatives have never changed. History's echo is deafening in the Kremlin. Nowhere is Russia's geographic dilemma more evident than in Ukraine. Ukraine is the last crucial buffer between Russia and the West. A pro-Western Ukraine is seen as an existential threat, placing NATO on Russia's doorstep. The annexation of Crimea secured Sevastopol and the Black Sea. Support for separatists in Donbas aimed to destabilize Ukraine and prevent its Western alignment. The 2022 invasion was a desperate attempt to force Ukraine back into Russia's sphere. Control over southern and eastern Ukraine would create a land bridge to Crimea and secure key ports. The war is a modern conflict driven by centuries-old geographic fears. For Russia, geography is a matter of survival, not just strategy. The obsession with strategic depth and the curse of the open plain are alive today. Ukraine is where Russia's historical anxieties clash with modern sovereignty. Russia's geography shapes its economy as much as its security. Rich in resources, Russia struggles to get them to market. Landlocked and remote, extraction and transport are costly and difficult. Pipelines to Europe once ran through Ukraine and Poland, giving those countries leverage. Russia built new pipelines like Nord Stream and Turk Stream to bypass them. These projects were as much about geopolitics as commerce. The war in Ukraine exposed the limits of this strategy. Europe is moving away from Russian energy, and pipelines have been sabotaged. Russia now looks east to China and India, but new routes require massive investment. Geography keeps Russia's wealth locked behind difficult routes. The country remains a prisoner of its own map. Economic power is always at the mercy of geography. Russia's future is written on the map. The North European plain will stay flat, the Arctic will keep melting, and the Bosphorus will remain under Turkish control. Russia's core insecurities are permanent. Its strategic objectives, buffer zones, influence over neighbors, access to oceans, will not change. Any government in Moscow must confront these geographic realities. The war in Ukraine is a pivotal moment, but the underlying problem remains. Success or failure there will not solve Russia's geographic dilemma. The curse of the open plain will continue to haunt the Kremlin. Russia's size is both blessing and curse. Its resources are shackled by geography. History repeats as Russia seeks security through expansion. Until it finds security without domination, conflict will persist. The map tells a story of perpetual struggle. Russia's final chapter is still unwritten,